Hey guys, welcome back to the Wholehearted Journey. My name is Meredith Hudson and I am coming with an apology. I am very sorry for missing last week's episode. Okay, in my defense, I did not mean to. I didn't mean to at all. I actually had the cutest little plan for you guys where you know how sometimes when you're in the car and you call your best friend and you're chit-chatting on the phone and it's literally like the best conversation ever. Like you're just having the time of your life, like just talking with your bestie and the conversation is just flowing. Like car conversations are the best. And so what I was actually planning on doing, because I am psychotic, was I was actually going to record my podcast episode for last week in the car on the way to the airport. And yes, I was going to be driving, but like I said, it was going to be very safe. It was going to be very safe. I was just going to hook my microphone up to me and I was just going to literally talk. And to be honest, like I said, it was going to be very, very safe. It wasn't going to actually be on video or anything like that. It was just going to be audio. I left my dang mic. I was so sad. And then I realized, oh, I am not going to be able to actually post anything. Like I didn't have like a backup episode. Are you kidding me? Me? A backup? That's hilarious. That is literally cute. I don't even have backup content. Like some of these like content creators, that's why I really don't identify as a content creator. Like I am so far from an actual content creator. The stuff that I post, the things that I say, how weird I am, the lack of preparation. Like I don't have any like game plans. Like I'm the furthest thing from a content creator. The only thing that actually makes me quote unquote a content creator is you guys. Cause y'all for some reason love how insane I am. But you know what? That's why I love y'all too. And that is actually my favorite thing about this community is I love the authenticity from everybody. Everyone's just so real and raw, and obviously that really like creates this beautiful ripple effect for the people that come into my program too. And so it's just like a win-win. I'm not ashamed to be myself on social media. I'm not ashamed of the things that I'm going to say on here. Oh my goodness. It's like clockwork with my dog's feeder where every time I'm recording a podcast, it goes off. So, okay, this is actually going to be a little crazy. If you hear my dog's bowl going off with the music and the food like slamming into the bowl, and on top of that, you hear my husband literally mowing my yard right now, like that's just real life. Okay, I don't have a studio. Like I said, I don't know how I'm even doing this right now. How am I a content creator? How am I a podcaster? Whatever you want to call me. Like even if my podcast is small, like one of these days it won't be small. And you can write that down, okay? But the thing here is, it's like, where was I even? Oh, anyways, like I said, it creates this ripple effect where everyone around me in my community, whether that be people sliding into my DMs, people watching my content, people like commenting on my stories or my posts or like coming into my program and becoming a client of mine, even the people that work with me, it's just like this ripple effect of like everyone is authentic, everyone is real, everyone is so genuine, and it is the best thing ever. I don't even know how to describe like how massive a blessing that is. It's like girl gang like times 500, but we keep it real, okay? And so I love that. I was actually listening to a podcast the other day where it actually was my pastor for my church. And the whole topic was basically like, how do you like stay 100% yourself? Like there's no like preacher like filter that you put on. You don't pretend to be someone that you're not. You say all the really hard things. And that, I'm so happy that I listened to this podcast because it was incredible. Like he was literally like confessing things that he does and that he struggles with that you would swear like someone from your church, especially the preacher itself, would never say. And here he was like repeating the things that you would never say. And it's like, that is exactly why I go to that church. That is exactly why I follow him, because in like his preachings and his sermons, because it's authentic. It's real. And I swear being real and being authentic is like, it's so hard to come by, sadly, nowadays. And so when you do have it, it just is like, I don't want to lose that. I don't want to lose like that person or that, whatever you want to call it. Anyways, that's not the point of this entire talk, but I just want to say thank y'all so much. I'm very sorry for, last week's like mix up, but I'm back, baby. I'm back. And I did not know what I was going to post until like about an hour ago, when I was having a conversation with one of my clients where she gave me the best compliment of all time that she didn't even know that I needed. She said that she was basically complimenting my glutes on a whole nother level. And you know what? She kind of knocked herself in the midst of this compliment too. She was like, I was admiring my glutes and these gains that I had, but then Mare's video popped up and then boom, it was like it put my glutes to shame essentially. And I was like, excuse me, Miss Ma'am. We ain't gonna do that because those glutes be popping. Everybody's glutes be popping. Okay, everyone's glutes be popping. I'm really hoping this is not too loud because when I'm looking at the voice memo thing, it's like the actual, what do you call it? The sound waves are like full blown max. But anyways, maybe I need to calm it down a little bit. Anyway, so point of this is that like when she mentioned that, it threw me back to when I was on my weight loss journey. And when I was on my weight loss journey, I lost all my glutes, y'all. I lost all my glutes. And it's not because I was losing muscle. It's not because I was not lifting heavy enough. In fact, it was because of the type of lifting I was doing, which leads me to this very, very amazing podcast that might change a lot of y'all's lives. In the least, like, a really dramatic way. Like, let's just be honest, like, having glutes as a woman is a very important thing, okay? We want to be a little juicy. Especially, most of my girlies in my community and clients of mine, have been plus size at some point in our life, right? Like, I spent my entire life plus size. And I love being a curvy woman. I love having glutes. I love having curves. I love having the hourglass figure. Like, curves are so sexy to me, like the sexiest thing. And it makes me feel like a woman. You know that song, like Natural Woman? 'Cause you make me feel, you make me feel like a natural woman. You know what? I want to feel like that every single day. I want to wake up and be like, that's what I want. And how I feel that is by having some glutes, okay? So when I lost 120 pounds and I look like, no, I'm not going to say that because, like, respectfully, like, I still looked cute, but I wasn't the curvy queen that I was. I was about to say something very mean. I was about to call myself a string bean, and that is disrespectful. That is so mean. Why would I call myself that? But I did not have any curves. I was pretty straight, and it looked different. And I was super insecure, like crazy insecure. And that was not the prize that I thought that I would have at the end of my 120 pound weight loss journey. Like, I literally lost more than what some people actually weigh in body fat, bro. Like, you understand how difficult that is? So to get to the end of doing that and being insecure, bruh, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. But that was me, and that was my reality. And so I immediately went into doing a bulk. And this is a long story. There's a lot of reasons, but I did a bulk. I gained some weight back intentionally, and then a small smidgy unintentionally. Like, I don't want to sit there and be like, my bulk was 100%, like the weight gain was 100% intentional. It was, most of it was, but then there's a little piece of me that was like, yo, I kind of slipped into a negative mindset, and I did gain some extra lbs that was not intentional. I always want to be 100% transparent. I don't want to be that person that's like, oh yeah, I did this all. Anyways, it worked out in my favor. No matter intentional, unintentional weight I gained, like it was all needed. Like, I needed to gain body fat. I was too thin, but in general, like, I wanted curves again. And so again, to have curves, I needed some extra lbs on me. So I gained some body weight back, but my glutes were still not popping, y'all. They still weren't popping. I was thicker. I had a little bit more curves. I gained a little bit of my boobs back. I will say I had a little bit of some like little plump there, but still very asparagus-like when bent over. Like the loose skin of my tits were like bad, but I was a little bit like curvier, like a little bit, thicker, whatever, but my glutes were still like not where I obviously wanted them. So what I discovered is that it does not obviously matter that I'm hip thrusting over 400 pounds. And that's true. The amount of weight that I used to hip thrust was over 400 pounds. And I could easily do that for 8 to 12 reps at a time. And I always did 4 sets. I never did less than 4 sets on any of my exercises, especially when it came to my legs. But when I was lifting that heavy, my glutes were not growing. Nothing was happening. I'm doing the RDLs, I'm doing the squats, I'm doing the hip thrusts, I'm doing the leg press, I'm doing the kickbacks, I'm doing everything you can imagine to grow my glutes, but nothing was growing them. But you want to know what was growing? My quads. So this episode is not just going to be for the quad dominant girlies, but the quad dominant girlies are really going to love this podcast. But I think for a majority of us women, most of us are quad dominant. We are, because our legs and our back just happen to be like very strong for us women. Just like for men, their chest and sometimes their shoulders, I think, tend to be their strongest, but their weakest is usually their legs. R.I.P. And that's why my husband, that poor baby, he got no booty. That booty looks sad. You should see that booty walking into a shower. It's like, if there was an emoji that existed out there that looked like what that looked like, I would use it all the time. R.I.P. to that booty. Anyways, but my husband, like I said, is very strong in his chest and his shoulders. So anyways, for these girlies, us girls who are quad dominant, what happens is we can lift very, very, very heavy. And even if the exercise is supposed to be mainly focusing on our glutes, our quads will take over and do the exercise. So I start mapping this out. I'm like, okay, I've been lifting at this point for 2.5 years. I'm lifting so freaking heavy. Like I should have the monstrous glutes that you could imagine. Like, this is insane. I lift heavier than, most women that I know. What's giving. And then I realized, oh, well, my quads are absolutely shredded. Like, my legs were insane. I'm not joking. Like, people used to say something about my legs every time I went out in public. And when I posted on social media, people would say something about my legs, but nothing about my glutes. And so it's obvious that all this hard work and all this lifting, like my quads were taking over in the movement. And so that's why my glutes literally look like nothing, because they were not doing the work. So I started putting something into play to where instead of focusing on progressive overload to where I am lifting till failure as much weight as I possibly could on my glute only exercises. So for majority of my squats, my hip thrusts, certain stances and positions for leg press, kickbacks, like certain exercises that are solely focusing on my glutes, what I did was, instead of lifting as heavy as I possibly could, I unloaded that weight by a lot, a ton. Like literally some of them, like even more than half of the weight that I was lifting, knocked it all the way down. And I focused on time under tension in a very insane way. Like, I used to say I was doing time under tension when I was doing progressive overload, but I'm definitely going a lot faster than what a true time under tension really looked like for me. And so I'm going to kind of explain this. If you are doing hip thrust, I want you to focus on, let's just say you got the bar, you're about to go through the movement. When you go up, you're going to count to 3. So 1, 2, 3. You're going to hold that movement at the top for 2 to 3 seconds. I always do 3 seconds. So I'm holding at the top, 1, 2, 3. And then I am still holding that tension when I am going down. So now I'm going down with the movement. 1, 2, 3. So every single movement is 1, 2, 3, up, hold, 1, 2, 3, down, 1, 2, 3, as slow as I possibly could. And honestly, if I could go slower with the movement, I would. So the whole point of my exercises went from lifting as heavy as I possibly could to now honestly controlling and holding the movement as much as I possibly could. It's a completely different focus. And you want to know what I learned and what I noticed immediately? Was that one, the time under tension kicked my butt way more than lifting as heavy as I possibly could. I will tell you, I promise you that. It did. You would not think so. If you're lifting over 400 pounds on hip thrust, you would think that would whoop your booty. Honestly, I might have had more sweat dripping off of me, but the actual mental strength that it took to do more of a true time under tension was way harder than the actual physical labor of like doing as heavy as I possibly could. But what I did notice was that I was feeling my glutes working in a way I've never felt in my entire life. Like I could feel the burn. Like I'm literally shaking when I'm doing these movements. I'm begging in the midst of them, like, please, I can't do this. It's crazy. It's intense. And so I started doing that with all of my glute exercises, like time under tension. And so if you watch my videos, I always have to speed them up because I am going so slow. It's like it's going to take you 5 hours to watch me do one workout because the movements are so slow. Slowly but surely, I started seeing my glutes grow in a way I've never, ever seen in my entire life. And they were like building a shape I've never seen. I started actually developing a top shelf. And I don't know if y'all know what a top shelf is, but it's like basically the very top of your booty where you kind of have like, here's your back, and then you have the glutes here instead of kind of going to where it's like your back that kind of just like naturally glides into a glute, and then you kind of have most of your like shape at the bottom of your glutes. No, it's like from the very top all the way rounded all the way into the bottom. Like that was ideally what I wanted. So seeing this completely changed my mindset about how I should lift. And I started kind of just like reframing and really thinking, okay, what are some areas that I've noticed that have been like lacking in, strength, definition, size? And I started like really thinking about this, like my lower back has always been super weak, which is actually very common for majority of people for multiple reasons. Like that's just a really difficult place to, lift, or to build strength in. But my lower back, and then kind of a little bit hamstrings, not too bad, but my hamstrings were lacking a little bit. Glutes, obviously, and so forth. So that is when I started kind of just like almost breaking up my exercises, where some exercises, if I'm really strong, like anything back, oh yeah, you need to do progressive overload. Like lift as heavy as you can till failure. That was me. So my back, my quads, like those exercises right there, even my shoulders, like lift as heavy as you possibly can till failure. And I kept them in that structure, but then when it came to all my weak areas or my exercises or like my movements that I feel like are almost like, I'm just not feeling the muscle that I'm trying to target actually being worked. That's when I completely scratched this whole progressive overload mindset and started doing way more focusing on going as slow as I possibly can with this movement and putting that into play. And that is when I started seeing my body have this like reshape and restructure that I've never seen before. And I was in a place where I'm again feeling like a woman, natural woman. And that was my kind of game changer piece, if you will. And I have told so many of my clients this exact same thing. Everyone is extremely different. Some people are going to be more glute dominant, I guess you could say. Not everyone is quad dominant, so maybe you need to have to switch that the other way around, where you're doing more of like as slow as you possibly can, time under tension. I mean, you're technically doing time under tension on all your exercises, but it's just a little bit different when you are kind of doing it in this way, where you're going as slow as you possibly can, to where you're literally just thinking of holding tension as much as you possibly can on all these exercises instead of or on these exercises that you're doing this on, and not lifting as heavy as you possibly can. So this is what I want y'all to do for me going into this week. After you listen to this podcast, I really, really, really challenge you to do this. And when you do it, I want you to literally report back, like come back to this post, like comment on it, whatever it is that you want to do, send me a message, like it does not matter. And I want you to tell me if you notice a drastic difference in the way that you felt during your workout. And then over a course of time, if you are a real like OG and just like the best girl in the world, come back to this episode and comment again saying, I have noticed like drastic changes in my glutes. I have noticed drastic changes in X and X area, whatever it is that you're really wanting to see growth in and changes in after implementing this, because it does not fail. It happens every single time. I'm not the only person here that has done this. I do this a lot with a lot of my clients, and the exact same thing that I see over a course of time. Of course, it's not something that happens overnight, but you will see a drastic difference, and you will notice yourself feeling soreness that maybe you've never felt before. Of course, it's temporary. Your body over time gets really used to it. You're not supposed to be feeling sore after every workout. That's actually a sign of overtraining. If you did not know that, you don't want to shoot to be sore every time you work out. That is not a goal to have. But when you start anything new, whether that be you start weight training for the very first time, or maybe you changed up your exercises, maybe you're changing up the way that you're going about your exercises, aka like what we're talking about here, you will experience soreness until your body kind of basically starts getting adapted to you implementing this, okay? So, but this will change everything, you guys. So yeah. Now, one thing that you really need to remember is that this still needs to be challenging. Like, you should not still be just going through the motions and like it be super easy. Like, no. It still needs to be very challenging. It needs to be very hard, but you need to have control over the movement. Meaning it needs to be the perfect amount of weight to where, yes, it is very challenging and very difficult for you to do, but it's not too heavy to where, again, if we're talking about glutes, your quads are not taking over and you're not even feeling it in your glutes, or you're not able to control the movement to where you're not able to do 1, 2, 3, up, hold, 1, 2, 3, and then down 1, 2, 3. Like, you start breaking form and you start going faster than that, then you know that you're lifting probably too heavy to effectively do this in the way that we want to do it. So when you start implementing at first, it's an adjustment, especially if you have been training most of your exercises till failure. I remember it took me probably a good solid like 2 weeks to really understand like what weight do I really need to use, what weight really truly does work, and so forth. This is why writing down the weight that you use is so important, so that way you're not spending so many like days of or exercises or moments, or gosh, I'm sorry, scratch everything I just said, my goodness. So you're not spending a huge part of your workouts trying to figure out what weight should I use, like, and then your workout itself is not as effective as it should be because you're not writing down the amount of weight that you're using and what weight is working and what weight isn't working. That's why in my app for my clients, they have it to where they can track and log all their weight. It makes it super easy. So every time they start their exercise, they already know what was the weight that they used. And this is also super beneficial for them to increase in weight, or also know, hey, this is what worked for me last week when I was doing my glutes and it felt really, really good. And they can continue to do that if they ever need to, of course, increase the weight, which you will. You don't stay at that weight forever. Even if you're not having a main goal of progressive overload, you're still doing it in some capacity, in some way over time. Okay. Remember, this is not to avoid it being a challenge. It needs to be a challenge because you're literally doing absolutely nothing if it's just you going through the motions and you're just counting 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's not going to do anything. It needs to be hard, but you just need to make sure that you have control and you can still go through the same pace with the weight that you're using and so forth. Okay, so it's finding that line. I hope that that's not confusing. This is one of those things I always send my clients videos to them, so that way it's a visual that they can see. But I feel like y'all probably understood it as much as possible. So, goal this week is what? Try this out. Again, comment and let me know if you are going to try it out, so that way you can just go back to your comment and set a reply to your comment and so forth, and I can kind of just know who's really going to put this into play. I'm really excited for y'all to just see how game changer this can be. It also makes your workouts like a little bit more enjoyable, because when you are lifting as heavy as you possibly can, and that's just like your main focus every time you go into your workouts, it can be exhausting, and it can be like really difficult to always be in that like mental, like mindset, I guess you would say, to do that. Like, I know I struggled really bad, always trying to push as heavy as I possibly could. You really think every leg day I was excited to go in there and lift that amount of weight? No, I was not. So this gives you a beautiful, healthy balance of lifting super, super heavy, but also having this like really focused, like more slow and controlled time under tension. And the blend of these two, I'm telling you, mwah, it's chef's kiss. So listen to your body, understand what muscle groups you probably should implement this more on. And that should be easy. I feel like we all understand, we all know what area we feel like we're lacking in, or maybe we're struggling with feeling. Like, I get told so many times, I'm struggling with feeling my RDLs. Well, it's probably because you were lifting way too heavy. If your form is really good and you still don't feel it in those booty cheeks, it's probably because you're lifting way too heavy. And naturally your quads or whatever, something is going to want to take over to basically pull it away from your glutes. Go down on the weight, time under tension, and you sit here and tell me that you don't feel that way more in them booty cheeks. I promise you will, bestie. We're in growing season, okay? 2026, we're going to have these glutes be gluten. Okay, we're going to call us gluten free. Not us. We got the glutes, okay? We are not gluten free. I'm so silly. This is why this is the thing that I'm talking about. Like, how do I even have a podcast? The fact that y'all sit here and listen to me, I appreciate, but sometimes you got to ask yourself, like, what is it about this girl? What is it about that weirdo that I enjoy, watching? It makes me think of like people who love The Office. Like, if you absolutely hate The Office, the TV show The Office, you probably would absolutely hate me. You probably would. You would be like, whatever that girl is on, I want nothing to do with. Like, I don't want to watch her videos. Like, she gives me the ick. And I have had people absolutely despise my personality, for sure. But then there's a lot of people that love The Office. Okay, that's all I gotta say. And this will be my last thing I will leave with you. And this is gonna be completely random, but I feel like I should share it with you guys. And maybe I'll make a whole podcast about this, or episode about this one day. But one time I was chatting with one of my friend's brothers, and he was like really, really just like love the fact that, he just thinks I'm cool. Like, essentially he thought I was really cool. He loves the fact that like I have social media, all that. He just found it like really fascinating. He was being just such a sweet guy. And he was talking about like what he tells his sister, because his sister does the exact same thing that I do, literally the exact same thing. She's even a coach, has her own fitness program, and everything. And he's just like basically in awe of both of us. And it was really, really sweet. But what he was talking about was that he said this, I'll never forget it. He goes, when you have a negative comment, like if someone says something about you or completely hates on you, like, does that like bother you? I'm like, oh yeah, obviously, like it impacts me and it makes me, feel really sometimes yucky about myself. That's the difficult part about social media. And although I can like shrug it off most of the time, sometimes it like really hits my heart, or maybe it hits me on a day that I just mentally can't take it. And he told me, he said, I want you to think about like this. You will have 1 million people hate you, absolutely hate you. But then you will have millions, if not 1 billion people absolutely adore you. And I was like, you know what? When you put it like that, it's just like, that's crazy. Because that's so true. And in anything that you do, you can walk into a room and you can have, let's just say it's a room of 11 people. 10 of those people really, really love you. And they're all about you and your beautiful personality and how real you are and just like everything about you. They just really adore. But then you might have one, It's like, I don't know what you, like, why do I want to say Samantha? You're going to have Samantha in the corner. Who just does not like you, is so bothered by your personality, thinks you're too much, thinks you're too loud, thinks you're maybe fake. A lot of times I think when people, like, if you have a big personality and someone doesn't really like you, I think a lot of times it comes down to they don't think you're like genuine. I think that that's very, true in a lot of cases. Like, not true like in a sense of if you have a big personality, you're fake. But I think a lot of people that dislike big personalities think that it comes from a place of like they're being fake, probably from someone that they know in their life that it had a big person at one point that maybe could have been fake. I don't know. I've definitely seen that play out, right, in my life too. But in general, it just really puts things in perspective, because sometimes maybe they said a negative comment about you, and that really sticks with you, versus all these people who maybe complimented you or just like showed you so much love. It's like you don't even acknowledge that, but then you dwell on this one person that just does not like you. Or sometimes it's really hard to enjoy your day and you're like, I don't know, like where you're at, because that one person that's there that doesn't like you is just, killing the vibes. Anyways, that's so random. I guess the point of my like rant here is there's multiple ways that you can grow your glutes. You should try this way. And if someone is getting you down and they don't necessarily like you or understand you, you really should probably just ignore them. Is this really the ending of my podcast right now? It is. You know what? I don't care anymore. I love you guys. Thank y'all for being here. And I hopefully will come in next week with a better episode than this. But you know what? I think I'm going to actually like this one. We love a little chaotic, messy one. I do have some really fun ones coming up. I really want to do one with my husband. I know that y'all have been really excited about that. But I think next week I might do a Q&A. So if I end up doing a Q&A, keep a lookout on my Instagram, because I will be posting a question box on my story for that. And that's more likely what I'm going to do. So I will see y'all next Tuesday. Y'all have an incredible Easter. Are you kidding me? Have the best week ever. I love y'all so, so much. Send this podcast to someone that you think would really enjoy this chaotic hot mess. And I will see y'all next time. Bye.